These powerful words from Napoleon Hill's iconic book, Think and Grow Rich, chapter number 2. Faith is the eternal elixir which gives life, power, and action to the impulse of thought. Without faith, desire fades into daydreams, but with faith, true, unshakable belief in the unseen, desire transforms into reality. You cannot achieve what you do not believe. Faith is not just hope. It is a state of mind that can be created by affirmation, repetition, and emotional intensity. In the arts, it is the foundation upon which all great achievements are built. Faith is the foundation of all success. It is the invisible force that turns imagination into reality, desire into achievement, and thought into substance. Without faith, even the strongest ideas remain trapped in the realm of dreams, never materializing into the physical world. Napoleon Hill teaches that faith is the cornerstone of all achievement because it influences the subconscious mind, the part of us that directs our actions, habits, and beliefs on a deep, automatic level. What you truly believe with emotion and repetition becomes a command to your subconscious mind. When that belief is fueled with faith, it ignites action. And action, guided by faith, is what ultimately produces results. Success begins not in the world outside, but in the inner world of thought. Before a building is constructed, there is a vision. Before a great business is formed, there is an idea. Before a dream is lived, it is believed in. Faith makes that belief unshakable. It allows you to hold on to your vision, even when the outer circumstances seem impossible. The person who has faith in themselves and in their goal will move mountains to achieve it. They will continue when others quit. They will believe when others doubt, and they will act with courage even when fear is present. That is the power of faith. It builds endurance, it inspires persistence, and it fuels the emotional strength needed to face obstacles head on. Faith does not mean blind hope. It is not a passive wish that something will happen on its own. Faith is an active force. It is believing so strongly in your goal that your thoughts, emotions, and behavior align with its achievement. It compels you to take action. It drives consistency in the face of adversity. When someone possesses faith, they do not wait for the right conditions. They create them. They do not seek permission from the world to follow their dreams. They simply move forward because their inner belief is already strong enough to carry them. One of the greatest secrets Napoleon Hill reveals is that faith can be developed. You do not have to be born with it. You can build it just like a muscle, and the way to build it is through repetition, affirmation, and visualization. By continuously feeding your mind with positive thoughts, by affirming your goals out loud with emotion, and by seeing yourself already living your dream, you gradually reprogram your subconscious to believe what you are telling it. In time, those beliefs become so deeply embedded that you begin to act in ways that naturally attract the very outcomes you desire. This is how faith works. It sets the foundation for success long before any visible signs appear. People often give up, not because they lack talent, but because they lack faith in their ability to succeed. They doubt themselves. They let fear take control. They allow their present circumstances to define their potential. But when you possess true faith, you stop looking at your current reality as a limit and begin to see it as a launching pad. Faith teaches you that what is now does not have to be what will be. It says you that your past does not define your future. It shows you that with belief, effort, and persistence, you can change your life completely. Faith also influences the kind of people you attract. When you carry yourself with certainty, when your belief radiates from your words and actions, others begin to believe in you too. Opportunities find you, support appears. The world begins to mirror back the same belief you hold within. This is not magic, it is the natural response of the universe to faith-driven action. People are drawn to those who carry conviction because conviction creates clarity and clarity creates trust. Faith is the foundation because it shapes everything that follows. It is the inner structure that supports your goals, your growth, and your greatness. Every great invention, every breakthrough, every triumph was born first from faith. Faith in an idea, in a purpose, or in one's own potential. If you can believe with intensity, if you can act with belief, and if you can persist with faith, then there is nothing you cannot achieve. Belief is built through repetition. It is not something that happens overnight or appears suddenly without effort. It is a gradual process, shaped day by day, thought by thought, word by word. When a person repeatedly focuses on an idea, a dream, or a goal, that idea begins to sink into the subconscious mind. The more you feed a thought into your mind with conviction, the more it begins to take root until it becomes a belief. Once it becomes a belief, it begins to influence every aspect of your behavior, your decisions, and your actions. Napoleon Hill emphasizes that this is one of the most powerful truths in personal achievement, that you can create belief through the power of repetition, regardless of where you start from or what your past has been. When you affirm something to yourself repeatedly, your subconscious begins to accept it as reality. This is not about lying to yourself or imagining something false. It is about programming your mind to support your goals rather than sabotage them. If someone constantly says, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," those thoughts, when repeated, become beliefs. The opposite is also true. If you consistently say, "I am capable, I deserve success, and I will achieve my goals," those empowering statements begin to overwrite the doubts and fears stored in your mind. That is the power of repetition. It allows you to take control of your inner programming and shape it according to your vision. Most people fail not because they are incapable, but because they are mentally conditioned to believe in limitations. From a young age, they hear statements that discourage risk, stifle ambition, or feed fear. These words are repeated again and again until they become beliefs. But the mind can be reconditioned. What has been learned through repetition, that is why affirmations and positive self-talk are not just motivational tools. They are mental training exercises. They are the daily practice of building belief muscle, reinforcing the mindset needed for success, and rewiring your brain to see possibilities instead of problems. The power of repetition is also evident in how habits are formed. Every time you take a certain action, you are reinforcing the belief behind it. If you wake up every morning and begin your day with focus and discipline, you are affirming your identity as a person who is productive and goal-oriented. If you avoid excuses and take responsibility for your outcomes, you are telling your subconscious that you are in control of your life. Over time, these actions accumulate, and they build a belief system that aligns with success. The more you act in alignment with your goals, the more natural those actions feel, and the stronger your belief becomes. This process requires patience and consistency. Repetition is not a one-time effort. It is a daily discipline. You must remind yourself again and again of who you are becoming and what you are capable of. You must drown out the voice of doubt with the voice of certainty. You must flood your mind with images of success, words of encouragement, and thoughts of progress. The more often you do this, the more automatic it becomes, until your belief is no longer something you are trying to build. It is simply who you are. Your mind is always listening. It does not question what you say. It accepts what is repeated. That is why you must be intentional with your thoughts and words. Speak what you seek. Think like the person you want to become. Rehearse success in your mind before it happens in your life. The truth is, repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity creates belief. The more familiar your mind becomes with success, confidence, and greatness, the more it begins to expect those things. And what the mind expects, it tends to manifest. Belief through repetition is one of the most reliable tools you have for transforming your life. You don't have to wait for someone to believe in you. You can believe in yourself first. And you can build that belief one thought, one word, and one affirmation at a time. Visualization turns desire into reality. It is the powerful act of seeing in the mind what you want to create in the world. Long before success appears in physical form, it must first exist in the imagination. Every building, invention, masterpiece, and empire began as a picture in someone's mind. Visualization is not daydreaming. It is the deliberate creation of a mental image that directs focus, awakens emotion, and prepares the mind for achievement. Napoleon Hill teaches that what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. But that achievement begins with the ability to clearly see the desired outcome long before it arrives. When you visualize, you are telling your subconscious mind, this is what I want, this is where I'm going. The subconscious does not know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That's why athletes visualize winning before they step on the field, and why successful people see themselves reaching their goals before they ever take the first step. Your mind becomes familiar with success through visualization, and once that image is established, the body and behavior follow. Visualization programs your thoughts, choices, and actions to align with the outcome you desire. The process of visualization works best when it is done with emotion. Simply imagining something is not enough, it must be felt. The more you connect with the feeling of already achieving your goal, the more powerful the visualization becomes. Emotion charges the image, giving it depth and intensity. When you see yourself achieving your goal and feel the pride, excitement, and gratitude of that achievement, you are creating a deep mental imprint. That imprint begins to shape your habits and influence your belief system. Over time, it becomes your new internal reality, and the external reality adjusts to match. Clarity is essential in visualization. The more specific your vision, the more effective the process. A vague desire produces vague results, but a clear and detailed vision provides direction. When you visualize, include every detail you can imagine, where you are, what you're doing, how it feels, what you see, hear, and experience. This level of detail engages more of your senses and makes the visualization more real to the brain. And when your brain believes something is real, it begins working to make it real. It becomes a magnet for opportunities, resources, and ideas that align with that image. Visualization also helps overcome doubt and fear. When the mind is filled with uncertainty, it is easy to lose focus and give up. But when you return again and again to the mental image of your goal already achieved, you build resilience. You remind yourself of the possibility. You fuel your determination. The more you visualize success, the more natural it feels. What once seemed distant begins to feel within reach. That confidence spills into your actions, making you more decisive, bold, and persistent. Another powerful benefit of visualization is its ability to guide decision-making. When your goal is clear in your mind, it becomes easier to choose actions that lead toward it and avoid distractions that pull you away. You begin to filter life through your vision. You ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goal? And your answer becomes your compass. Visualization gives you that internal guidance. It helps you stay aligned with your purpose, even when the path is hard or unclear. Repetition is key in visualization. Like belief, it must be practiced daily. One session is not enough to transform your thinking, but consistent mental rehearsal builds familiarity. You begin to expect success because you have seen it so many times in your mind. And what you expect, you begin to attract. You begin to create conditions in your outer world that match the world you've already created in your mind. Visualization is a bridge between the invisible and the visible, between thought and experience, between desire and reality. When used correctly and consistently, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for achieving any goal. By seeing your success in the mind, you begin to live it in your life. And that is how visualization turns desire into reality. Faith and fear cannot exist together. These two forces are opposites, and they operate in entirely different directions. Where faith builds confidence, clarity, and courage, fear feeds uncertainty, hesitation, and retreat. If one dominates the mind, the other is automatically pushed out. Napoleon Hill emphasizes that your mind is like fertile soil. It will return what you plant in it. If you plant seeds of faith, you will grow strength, purpose, and resilience. But if you allow fear to take root, it will grow into anxiety, inaction, and failure. The battle between faith and fear happens in the mind first, and the winner determines the quality of your actions and the outcomes of your life. Faith is constructive while fear is destructive. Faith helps you move forward despite the unknown. It whispers that success is possible, that challenges can be overcome, and that you are capable of more than your current circumstances. It strengthens your inner world so that you can face the outer world with courage. Fear, on the other hand, keeps you stuck in one place. It imagines worst-case scenarios, exaggerates risks, and convinces you that it's safer not to try. It paralyzes decision-making and drains your energy. Where faith frees, fear traps. You cannot walk confidently toward a dream if fear is holding your thoughts hostage. The human mind cannot hold both faith and fear at the same time because they pull in opposite directions. If you choose to believe in yourself, in your goals, and in the power of your desire, then fear must be silenced. It may still whisper in the background, but it no longer drives your actions. On the other hand, if you dwell on your doubts, question your worth, and worry about failure, your faith begins to weaken. Eventually, it disappears under the weight of negativity. That is why it is so important to feed faith every single day. It is not enough to believe once. You must believe continuously. The process of building faith and removing fear starts with awareness. You must pay attention to your thoughts. Are they empowering or discouraging? Are they focused on solutions or problems? Do they lift you up or tear you down? Once you notice fear-based thoughts, you can begin to challenge them. Replace them with thoughts of strength, success, and potential. Speak affirmations out loud. Visualize your goals. Remind yourself of your past victories and your purpose. Faith grows through these small, consistent acts of mental discipline. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Soon, faith becomes your default mindset, and fear fades into the background. Action is another powerful way to build faith and diminish fear. Every time you act in spite of fear, you strengthen your belief in yourself. You prove to your mind that you are bigger than your doubts. Fear often disappears the moment you step forward. It loses its grip when you stop giving it attention and start moving in the direction of your goals. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence reinforces faith. That's why people who take action consistently develop unshakable belief. They don't wait for fear to vanish. They move anyway, and their faith grows stronger with every step. Faith is also amplified by surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, support your dreams, and encourage your progress. Fear feeds off isolation, while faith is fueled by connection. When you're around positive influences, your belief in what's possible expands. You are reminded that success is not only achievable, but expected. On the contrary, if you spend time with people who doubt your dreams or speak from fear, their influence can weaken your faith. You must guard your environment as carefully as you guard your thoughts. Ultimately, you have to make a conscious choice between faith and fear every day. They will both try to influence you, but only one can take root. The direction of your life will be determined by which one you consistently feed. If you choose faith, you choose growth, purpose, and power. If you choose fear, you choose limitation, hesitation, and regret. But the good news is that faith can be learned, strengthened, and mastered. It is not a gift reserved for a few. It is a skill that anyone can develop. And when you do, you'll find that the life you dream of is closer than you ever imagined. Autosuggestion is most powerful when practiced with emotion. Emotion gives life to your words. It adds depth and meaning to your affirmations. Simply repeating words without feeling will not create the same effect, but when you speak your desires aloud with belief, passion, and a sense of certainty, the subconscious mind reacts. It takes those words seriously and begins to operate in alignment with them. The stronger the emotional charge behind your suggestion, the quicker it sinks into the subconscious and begins to shift your reality. That is why Napoleon Hill advised repeating affirmations with deep feeling, preferably multiple times a day, especially in the morning and before sleep when the subconscious is most receptive. Autosuggestion also works through visualization. When you combine affirming words with vivid mental images, you create a multi-sensory experience that the brain interprets as real. This dual approach strengthens the message being delivered to the subconscious. When you see yourself living your dream life and speak as if it is already true, you are reinforcing the belief and expectation of that reality. The subconscious responds to consistency, repetition, and clarity. The more detailed your vision, the more powerful the suggestion becomes. You must see yourself winning, succeeding, creating, leading, not just once, but over and over again until your inner world transforms. Through autosuggestion, you can override old beliefs that have been holding you back. These limiting beliefs were likely formed from negative suggestions you absorbed as a child or during painful experiences. But just as they were created, they can be replaced. Repeated positive affirmations spoken with belief can gradually dissolve self-doubt, fear, and insecurity. They rewire the brain for confidence, ambition, and faith. Over time, you start to notice a shift in your thinking. You begin to expect good outcomes. Take bold actions and remain focused on possibilities instead of obstacles. Your mind starts to cooperate with your goals rather than resist them. Autosuggestion requires discipline and patience. You must be consistent even when you don't see immediate results. The subconscious operates on its own timeline, absorbing messages gradually until they become dominant thoughts. Many people give up too soon, thinking it isn't working. But if you persist, you will find that your thoughts begin to shift, your mood begins to lift, and your actions become more aligned with success. Like drops of water carving stone, the repeated suggestions slowly reshape your mindset and character. And every day you have the choice to program your mind with fear or with faith, with limitations or with possibilities. Autosuggestion puts that power in your hands. It is not magic, but it is a force that, when applied consistently and with belief, can transform your thinking and change the course of your life. The person you become is the result of the thoughts you choose to feed your subconscious mind. Use autosuggestion wisely, and it will build the foundation for the life you are meant to live. Faith grows through action because belief alone is not enough to create transformation. True faith is not just a feeling. It is a force that comes alive when you take a step forward, even when you can't see the full path. Napoleon Hill teaches that faith is the foundation of all success, but it becomes real and unshakable when it is reinforced through consistent, purposeful action. Each small act in the direction of your goal strengthens your inner belief. You begin to realize that your desires are not impossible, they are reachable. And with every result, every breakthrough, every lesson learned, your faith grows stronger. When you act in alignment with your goals, you prove to your subconscious mind that you are serious. Action is the signal that separates wishful thinking from determined pursuit. You can affirm your goals and visualize success, but until you move your feet, those ideas remain abstract. It is in the doing that your belief begins to crystallize. Even imperfect actions carry power. The outcome is not as important in the beginning as the motion itself. Starting something, no matter how small, creates momentum. That momentum builds confidence. Confidence feeds faith, and the cycle continues. Faith is often tested in uncertainty. You won't always have clarity when beginning a new chapter. You might not know what lies ahead or how every piece will come together. But action taken in faith does not require all the answers. It only requires the willingness to begin. You trust that the next step will become clear after you take the first one. This mindset allows you to push past the paralysis of overthinking and fear of failure. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating them. The very act of choosing to move forward opens doors, reveals opportunities, and confirms that you are capable. Every success story is a result of repeated acts of faith. The people who rise above average are not the ones with perfect plans. They are the ones who take bold steps while others hesitate. They act even when they are scared. They act even when they fail. They act because they believe that progress is possible, and each action proves them right. Failure does not break their faith, it refines it. They learn, adapt, and keep moving forward. Through this process, faith is no longer just a belief in the unseen. It becomes a deep inner knowing, grounded in experience. Action also transforms fear into strength. Fear speeds on inaction. The longer you wait, the louder fear grows. But when you move, fear loses its grip. The mind begins to associate progress with courage. Even small wins become evidence that faith works. When you act on your vision, your subconscious collects proof that your goals are valid and your path is real. That proof reinforces your belief, making it easier to take the next step and the next. Eventually, action becomes habit and faith becomes a way of life. Taking action also aligns you with opportunities you could never reach by thinking alone. The world responds to movement. People notice your determination. Resources begin to appear. Mentors, partnerships, and unexpected blessings find their way to you because you are no longer hidden in hesitation. You are visible in motion. Faith that is acted upon becomes magnetic. It attracts support, multiplies results, and builds momentum that carries you through setbacks. There is also a spiritual dimension to action-driven faith. When you act on your dreams, you demonstrate trust in something greater than your fear. You are saying, I believe this is possible and I am willing to move. That kind of faith invites favor. It opens the door for guidance, synchronicity, and breakthrough moments that logic alone cannot explain. As you continue walking in faith, your path becomes clearer, your purpose becomes stronger, and your results begin to multiply. In the end, faith that is not followed by action fades away, but faith that is put into motion grows roots. It transforms who you are, how you think, and what you create. Action is not just the result of faith, it is the builder of it. Every step you take toward your dreams, even the uncertain ones, are laying the foundation for the success you seek. Faith grows stronger with every move forward, and with it, your life begins to change. Faith is not merely a concept to be admired from a distance. It is a force that must be lived, practiced, and cultivated daily. When you begin to apply what you've learned about belief, visualization, autosuggestion, and persistent action, you open yourself to a new level of personal transformation. The truths found in this chapter are not theoretical. They are deeply practical and universally powerful. As you journey through your own desires, dreams, and goals, remember that the strength of your faith determines the strength of your pursuit. Doubt may visit, fear may whisper, but they cannot stay where faith is consistently expressed through your thoughts, words, and actions. With every affirmation you repeat,